Hi there guys. In this video we're going to have a look at some surplus 7.62x54R Bulgarian ammunition. This is currently on the market here in Canada and I believe also in the US. And it comes in these 20 round paper packets and got the end of it torn open here. Have a look at one of the rounds. And this is a copper washed steel case. See if we can get a look at the head stamp here. We have a real close look at the top. It's number 10, and that is the Bulgarian country code for the kind of the communist bloc era of ammunition production. And down below we can see 71, so produced in 1971. You can see the lacquer sealant around the Berdan primer. And this ammunition is of course corrosive, as is all military spec Com Block 7.62x54 ammo, because of course corrosive primers, although they have their disadvantages, they also have the advantages of extreme reliability, especially in cold weather and for long storage. We can see that the lacquer sealant is also used around the junction of the case neck and the bullet. And we've got the silver paint tip on the bullet, which indicates that this is LPS ball, and it should weigh about 147-148 grains. We are going to pull some of this apart. We're going to pull a few rounds apart in a little bit, and we're going to examine the powder charge, and we'll weigh a few of the bullets in the powder and measure the dimensions. So I'm going to get my my impact bullet puller out here, and we're going to take a few of these rounds apart and see what exactly is inside them. Alright, got my trusty old Midway impact bullet puller, and we're going to use the largest collet that comes with the bullet puller. Let's pull that over the top, put the cartridge into the bullet puller, screw that top part on. We're going to give this a few smacks against the cement floor here and see if we can get this bullet pulled out. Well, it wasn't all that difficult to get the bullet to pull, which is a kind of a good sign, because quite often with surplus ammo there'll be some bonding between the cartridge case neck and the bullet itself, and that can be, you know, not such a great thing. So to me it's a good sign when the bullet pulls out without too much effort. So we're going to have a look inside the case here in a second. I'm going to try to make sure that I don't lose any of the powder. That sometimes these impact pullers, the powder gets up around the threads. So we're going to dump that out. A few kernels of powder on the bench here, but anyway, I'll clean those up and put them in the pan before I weigh this charge, see how much it weighs. Let's have a look at the powder and the bullet. Nice shiny clean bullet, no corrosion on it, and it should be a steel core bullet. And we've got stick type extruded powder, sort of an IMR style of powder. We're going to get the scale out and we'll weigh both the powder charge and the bullet to see what's going on with those. Alright, let's have a little closer look at the inside of the cartridge case here. Have a flashlight here to cast some light on the subject. See if we can get a good look inside. Nice and clean and shiny in there, no signs of any corrosion or anything like that. See the copper plating goes of course all the way into the inside of the case. And if we can get really close up here, we should be able to see the Berdan primer flash holes. A little tricky to get light on things from this angle, and to get the camera to focus at the same time. Anyway, everything looks pretty good in there. Pretty standard looking. There doesn't appear to be any like an asphalt seal on the inside of the case. Sometimes you'll see an asphalt or bituminous seal between the bullet and the cartridge case. So they've obviously just relied on that red lacquer there to keep the cartridge case waterproofed, which is generally going to be adequate. Alright, let's have a look at the bullets that are loaded into this ammunition. It is the LPS type light ball, steel core with a steel jacket which has been copper plated for some corrosion resistance. It is a Spitzer style bullet with a boat tail. We've got a little bit of a candelore right here where the case was crimped into it. And we've got the silver paint on the tip of the bullet to indicate that it's the light ball. This is not really classified as armor-piercing ammunition because the steel core, to the best of my knowledge, is just a mild steel core. It's not a hardened type of steel core. It may or may not be usable on your range. I know some ranges do not allow the use of steel cored ammunition because it's too hard on their steel targets. It'll actually shoot right through steel plate quite handily at closer distances and even out to a little further distance. This bullet would also contain some lead as well as steel. There'd be sort of a lead sandwich between the jacket and the core, and that's basically to allow the bullet to deform slightly as it goes down the barrel so that pressures are not elevated too much. Having pulled 10 of these bullets out and checked them, I've found that there are basically two different sizes or two different diameters of bullets in this sample of ammunition. This one here is about 311 diameter, and some of the other ones, the other half of them, measured more like this one here, which is 310. So there's about a thou variation. Some of them are about 310 and a half, so they do vary from 310 to 311. As I mentioned, I pulled 10 of these apart and I weighed them out, and we got an average weight over 10 bullets of 148.36 grains, standard deviation of 0.34 of a grain, with an extreme spread of 0.8 of a grain over the 10 bullets. So that's not surprising numbers for surplus type ammunition. It's quite reasonable to see that much variation in this type of ammunition. This was, after all, it's not match ammunition. It is military ball ammo, so that's decent. Okay, next we're going to have a look at the powder charges. Just one moment. Okay, earlier we had a look at the extruded powder that's used in these rounds. I pulled 10 rounds apart and weighed all the charges. The powder has since been poured back into the cartridge cases. You can see how fairly evenly the charges all appear to be, and that's backed up with the data from the weighing. And basically, we've got an average of 49.27 grains per powder charge, standard deviation of 0.17 grain, and an extreme spread over the 10 weighed of half a grain. So that's pretty respectable for surplus type ammunition as far as consistency of powder charge and weight. Anyway, I guess that's sort of going to have to suffice for a benchtop review of this ammunition because the weather at the moment is rather crappy. Hoping that it will clear up in the next day or two and I can go out and run some of this through one of my Mosins and get some accuracy results and some chronograph readings with it. In fact, I may try it out of my 9130 sniper rifle because it's proven to be a very accurate rifle, so that would be a good test platform to see how this ammunition will shoot. So let's hope that the weather breaks in the next 2 or 3 days and I can get out to the range and try some of this stuff out. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you later.